And we all remember this. Yeah, that's how they were referring to police, pigs in a blanket frying like bacon in Seattle. That video was actually taken last year by my next guest outside of the city. Seattle's mayor now says that urgent action is needed because you know what? After all that, they don't have enough police anymore to keep people safe in the city of Seattle. 400 officers have left that force over the last couple of years. So now, no big surprise. They cannot recruit. They can't retain people. And of course, they're not alone across the country. So much damage done by that movement across this nation. In New York City, the former police commissioner, Bill Bratton, predicting, quote, a crisis of manpower in New York City, where there's already an increase in crime because of what's going on with leadership there. The New York Post saying over 1,500 police officers, 1,500, said, forget it. I'm out of here. I'm resigning. I'm retiring. Don't want to do this job anymore. There's just not enough support. Nobody seems to have your back in that job. So Jason Rantz is a Seattle radio talk show host. He's followed this very closely. And as I said, he shot that video. So, Jason, always good to have you with us. We're awaiting the president here, but this is an important story as well. And so now what is Seattle doing to try to convince people that this is a job worth taking on?
Yeah, unfortunately, despite a big announcement yesterday from the Mayor Bruce Harrell that he's got a new recruitment plan, it's not really a plan. It's a little bit updated from things we've already been doing. His goal is to get 500 new cops to sign up over the course of 5 years to get us to this goal of 1,450. The problem with that plan is it only works if 100% retention rate stays through the next 5 years. We had 103 officers this year leave, 12 left last week. So this idea that over the course of the next 5 years to get to a place where we need to be right now is sufficient is bizarre. And the way he's trying to do this is basically say, we're just going to offer higher bonuses for new recruits or lateral transfers from different departments. But that's not enough. We need the 500 right now. We're in the middle of a crime surge.
Yeah, you know, we all remember what was said after George Floyd, and obviously that was a horrific event. But the solution came in the form of this. Let's watch this montage.
Yes, I support the defund movement.
Not only do we need to defund, but we need to dismantle and start anew.
Why use the word defund? Why use the word defund? And it's like, this is the word that's coming from the streets.
In many cities in America, over 1/3 of their city budget goes to police. So we have to have this conversation. What are we doing?
So what are we doing? Now we've got officers killed in the line of duty, Jason, up 58.7%, according to the FBI, and violent crime also on the rise.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, we had a bunch of politicians who decided to listen to extremists who took to the streets, many of whom were turning violent. Despite that, they said, OK, let's just give in some more. And so whether we're talking about Seattle or New York, Portland or Minneapolis, we have clearly seen the end results of this experiment, not merely to defund, because their goal is ultimately to abolish not just police departments, but also prisons. And in addition to just completely dismantling these police departments across the country, we've seen policy after policy that has basically said, we're not going to punish the criminals. We're going to go easy on them. We're going to put them into restorative justice programs that don't actually work. And they continue to commit crimes. The problem is now we don't have the officers to make the arrests again. So we're just creating this snowball of a bigger crisis. And no one is taking it seriously enough to come out and simply say, number one, we screwed up. We should not have defunded. And number two, we are sorry. We are sorry for demonizing police. We're sorry for calling them racist murderers at the top of our lungs. We are sorry. We'd like you to come work for us again. We will change. The problem is they're not going to change.
Yeah, that's a great point, you know, because in order to really entice people back into these jobs, you do have to do that. You have to say we made a mistake. We should recognize the fact that you are helping to keep people safe. Because what we're hearing, and I remember being on the ground in Minneapolis in an area that had a soaring crime rate. And the people who lived in the neighborhood said to me, look, we don't want fewer police. We want more police on our streets here. We're afraid to send our kids out. And until you send that message of real support, but you're right, it's got to come through the Attorney General's office, the mayor's office. It's got to be all the way down the line saying, and once you arrest these people, we're going to make sure they stay behind bars.
Exactly, and bring to the table actual people who care about the community and aren't connected to some organization, some activist group. Because ultimately, you've got these activist organizations across the country that get the ears of these politicians. They tend to be very far to the left on these issues. And rather than talk to people who just live in the neighborhood, people who don't have access to the council members who are in charge or the city attorneys and the district attorneys, actually talk to people and hear from them. Because to your point, especially in the black community, we've heard over and over and over again, do not take away our police officers. They may say we should do things a little bit differently, and we should have those conversations, and we should make those reforms where they make sense. But to just simply say we're going to pull them from communities, that's a problem.
Yeah, it's a realistic approach. I talked to a mom the other day who lost her 4-year-old son. She was in Chicago visiting family from Alabama, and her son was shot in the street. People want the support, but you're right. They also want to have a good relationship with officers in their community, and that is what's going to keep everybody safer. Jason, thank you very much. It's always good to have you with us.